This is a production of WKNO Memphis. Production funding for Behind the Headlines is made possible in part by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
A look at organizations helping the needy during the holidays, tonight on Behind the Headlines. I'm Eric Barnes, publisher of the Memphis Daily News. Thanks for joining us. I'm joined tonight by Jonathan Rich from the Salvation Army, Area Commander. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Also Miranda Harbor from the Make-A-Wish Foundation locally. Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Arnetta Macklin from MIFA. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Also Bill Dries, senior reporter with the Memphis Daily News. So it's the holiday season, and we want to get you all in to talk about some of the things you do, not just during the holidays, but for the full year. This is airing right after Christmas, but I mean, I'm sure the need it grows and ebbs and flows throughout the year. And let me start first, and I'll just kind of go left to right. Tell me about your organization and what it does locally, and we'll start with Make-A-Wish.
Make-A-Wish grants wishes to children who have life-threatening medical conditions. All of the funds that are raised in this area stay in this area. We serve a territory of the entire state of Arkansas, West Tennessee, and North Mississippi. And last year, we granted about 242 wishes to children in the Mid-South.
Yeah, so I would imagine you work closely with St. Jude and some of the Le Bonheur and so on? I mean,
yes, Arkansas Children's Hospital, St.
Okay.
Jude, Le Bonheur, they all are incredible referral sources for us in helping to get children to our organization. Children can also be referred through their families, the child themselves, or someone who's involved directly in their care.
Okay, well, we'll come back and talk more about Make-A-Wish, but again, just Salvation Army, we all, famously know the ringing of the bells, but and that's an important thing. There are other things you all do. Talk about Salvation Army in the Mid-South.
Yeah, sure. The ringing of the bells is something we're known for. We raise about 10% of our annual budget because we do quite a bit all year long. We're the largest provider of services for homeless women and children in Memphis. We have in residence with us at any given time about 115 women and children in our shelter programs and transitional housing programs. So that's one thing we do. We work with addicted men and addicted women who are addicted to drugs and alcohol and help them be free of their addiction and get back into society. We do the Angel Tree program at Christmas time, again, just wrapping it up, where we served over 5,000 children and seniors with gifts for the holidays, and all kinds of other things. During the year, we help at certain seasons with other kinds of assistance to help people stay in their homes and those kinds of things.
Okay, and we'll come back to some of those too, but just MIFA, the local organization at the table, you all do a whole lot. Talk about some of what you do specifically, but MIFA as a whole.
Okay. Well, most people know MIFA for Meals on Wheels, in which we serve 1,200 seniors hot delivered meals every day, not only in their homes, but also in over 15 congregate sites throughout the community. We have 9 programs, and our mission is to support the independence of seniors and vulnerable families in crisis through high impact programs. And emergency service is another one of our high impact programs that a lot of people know us for.
And so as we talk about this at the holidays, and again, just right after Christmas, what are particularly going on during this season? I mean, it's a great season, but it's also, I would imagine, again, I'll go to you, it's also probably particularly sad and stressful and worrisome season for families dealing with a child with a terrible illness.
It is. So many of our families, and just like the other organizations at the table, I mean, the holidays can, in essence, be the most stressful time of their lives because of what they're already dealing with at home, and then the added stress of the holidays and trying to, to have a normal, if you will, family experience. And so our agency, our organization is there to be able to start the referral process to get prospective wish kids in the door, to start the wish process, to give them something to look forward to and to kind of grab on and hold on to as they go through the most trying time of their lives.
Yeah, and the work, we talked a little bit about the show of the timing of doing this right after Christmas, but all of you, there's maybe a particular focus on this kind of work at this time of year, but it is year round, right? I mean, you're not just ringing the bells during the holidays, but you're doing work 365 days a year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, really, our programs for homeless women and children are in operation. So it takes an incredible amount of resources and volunteers and great staff to make that happen and to really see lives being transformed transform, not just to put a Band-Aid on issues, but to really see some of the generational issues of poverty be broken through and people break through that and live sustainable lives.
Yeah. Again, back just one more time, and the particular issues you all deal with through the holiday season and then through the year. I mean, but talk about the holiday season specifically.
Well, the holiday season, seniors have to sometimes decide if I want to feed myself or get medication.
Yeah.
A lot of the emergency services clients that we see have to decide if they're going to be able to provide the basic necessities of light, gas, and water. And so a lot of the things are heightened during the holiday season, which some people think is the most wonderful time of the year, but for others is a very stressful time.
Yeah,
Because they have to choose with basic needs that
Right.
they have.
Right. Bill.
In addition to the ringing of the bells, the Salvation Army has been known for the Kroc Center here in Memphis as well, and the Kroc Center will be 2 years old. You said in this coming February. How does the Kroc Center and the programs there feed into the work that the Salvation Army does at its other facilities across the city?
Yeah, the big idea of the Kroc Center is to be a facility that brings the whole community together with proactive programs to keep people healthy or get people healthy before they get into some of the crises that we see in our city. So we've really seen that happen. Every economic strata, every racial class is coming to the Kroc Center and enjoying recreation, fitness, the arts, worship, all kinds of activities at the Kroc Center. In addition to that, the women and children that we work with have an opportunity to enjoy the Kroc Center as well. Many of the homeless women in our programs participate in Zumba classes there and just start to feel better about themselves through healthy living, healthy eating, all those kinds of things.
So in the Zumba class, there's no distinction made between who is homeless and who has a great life. There's
Right.
no distinction.
Nobody has any idea where people are coming from in those classes. And we have one class that routinely has over 80 people participating in it. So.
In terms of the Metropolitan Interfaith Association, from your vantage point, is the level of need that you deal with, is it greater now than it has been? Are we seeing less need as we emerge from the recession, or give me a kind of barometer of where the level of need is in our community?
Sure. For our emergency services department, we had 15,000 people to come through our doors to ask for assistance, and we were only able to help 3,500. The reality is even with our senior Meals on Wheels program, the government funds have remained stable and have not increased overall, yet the need has continued to increase with the number of seniors growing with baby boomers at an extraordinary rate.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of Make-A-Wish, we're obviously known as the home of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and Le Bonheur, both within sight of each other. Does that make our region a particularly busy region for Make-A-Wish?
It absolutely does. Our chapter is very fortunate to be able to work very closely with both of those hospitals and Arkansas Children's Hospital out of Little Rock. And the way that it affects us is we actually need more people who are able to translate other languages because they're both international organizations.
Right.
And so when they get ready to refer a child into our organization, we jump and we go. We do the wish visit, we get the paperwork started, and if need be, we can send the information to the appropriate chapter, or we can handle it right here in the Mid-South. But it definitely does affect our day-to-day activities, and we're incredibly grateful for those organizations to be here.
Right, and you also work, we should say, outside of those institutions as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Children can be referred to us by their parents or legal guardians, someone who's over their care, the child social worker, medical professional who's involved in their care, a very close friend or family member who is intimately knowledgeable about their situation, and the child themselves can actually make the referral.
How many times do you see a child refer another child?
It's a handful of times. They usually obviously have to be of a certain age when they are able to share that information. There's basic information that we consume when someone calls in to give us a referral, and we need the child's age, address, name, medical condition, and the treatment facility that they're involved with.
And talk about some of the, maybe in the past year, some of the, sometimes you'll see a great kind of Make-A-Wish event of a kid scoring a touchdown. I think I saw one recently, or you'll see talk about some of the ones that happen locally that maybe don't make the news. That, I mean, you said a couple hundred kids a year that you're working with.
Yes.
Talk about some of the other wishes that you guys are fulfilling.
Some of the wishes are so incredible because they are really fulfilled by the child's imagination. We have had 2 families in the last 2 years who have went to meet the Pope while in Rome, and that was just an incredible experience for them and their entire family. And the wish itself is such a healing process for a family to start a new chapter, if you will. And so that one was a really incredible and inspirational one to see. We had a wish that we just recently granted just this month for a young man who wanted a dog. He just wanted a companion who was going to love him
amazing.
Unconditionally. And to see a 16-year-old boy break down and be emotional over his wish coming true just kind of speaks to the impact that it really had on him. We have children who, even as close as we are to the beach, have never seen the beach in their entire lives. They've seen it on TV. And so to be able to send a family to go and see the beach for the first time that they feel the sand run through their fingers, it's just such a life-changing moment for them.
Right. And you talked about needing, and I'll ask all of you this, you talked about needing, you mentioned translators. What do you need? So people who are listening, how best can they help?
They can share their time, their treasures, or their talents. You can give your time by volunteering, working to become a wish granter, helping us with translating, helping paint a room for a room redo, and sharing your treasures or your talents. There are so many talented people here in the Mid-South, and just becoming a Make-A-Wish volunteer, we fit you. If you're a talented photographer, that's where we will place your talents.
Yeah. And how many volunteers, give or take, at any time are working with?
For the entire Mid-South, it's close to 500, and we need more because 2 volunteers visit every Wish family at the time that they're ready to start the Wish process.
I got you. I'll ask you, what do you need? People listening who want to help or want to get involved?
We always need volunteers for sure, and the best way to volunteer with us is to go on our website, salvationarmymemphis.org, and there are lots of opportunities to volunteer, especially at the year-end time, but all year long, helping us feed meals to the homeless families that we serve. Again, painting rooms or those kinds of things in our shelters and helping in those kinds of ways. At the holiday time, the whole Angel Tree is such a massive program. We use hundreds and hundreds of volunteers. Last time I saw, we use about 10,000 volunteers throughout the whole year for the Salvation Army. So that's big. And then, of course, financial contributions allow us to do what we do. And we need to raise $5 million every year for those programs in particular. And again, going on salvationarmymemphis.org, those kinds of is probably the best way to donate.
Right. And we talked a little before the show, it is year end, so it may be past Christmas, but it's year end and tax considerations, and so we want people to go to 3 websites.
Absolutely.
And donate some money. Again, you all, how many volunteers do you have, and how many more do you need?
We have over 2,000 volunteers that help us, and it really equates to numerous real jobs that, unlike paying a person, we can actually give back to the operating expenses that we so valuably need. But in terms of contributing, we can go to our Plus One program, which is a partnership with MLG&W, where you can just donate $1 of your utility assistance and actually contribute to helping someone else keep their lights on.
Yeah. How much? When did that start? When did that? I remember 10 years ago?
Yeah, at least 10 years ago.
And do you have any idea how much money that raises, that $1?
A tremendous amount of money for the community. And we're just pleased that we have so many people wanting to give back. But again, that $1 can make a difference in the lives of families in our community.
Right. What is MIFA's budget, give or take, in a given year?
Almost $8 million.
Yeah, and you have to raise that $8 million you get some government support.
We get some government support, but over 37% of that is contributed to private donations by individuals, congregations, and corporations.
And the government money is coming, is it federal, state, local? Where is it coming from?
Most of it is federal, funneled through our state and local government entities.
And did you see, going through, the bad recession and a lot of government spending cutbacks at the federal level, like sequestration and so on, is that hit you all?
Yes, and see now, just like with any government program, the need continues to grow, even though the government programs have remained pretty much stable and sometimes cut.
Yeah. When you talk about, it's an interesting thing that you mentioned, trying to get people out of the cycle of whatever it is, if it's abuse or it's poverty or whatever. When you're talking about seniors and providing food, it's kind of tough, I would think, you're not really going to end that cycle. I mean, but are there certain programs you do where you are trying to help people get out of a cycle they're in?
Yes. Just want to explain that we're more than a meal.
Yeah.
And there are different types of seniors. You know, there are seniors who are what we call food insecure, meaning they're at a breaking point of actually being able to have access to food via lack of transportation. And so we really need people to help assist us provide more than a meal, because the social interaction they provide can help prevent premature institutionalization in a nursing home, depression, and isolation, which oftentimes leads to other medical issues.
Right, okay. Your funding, I think, is all private, is that correct? Or
It's all local, so corporations, schools, churches, that sort of thing. There are a few grants that we do kind of from local foundations, but we don't receive any government, state, funding of that nature.
And as a national organization, does that ever, I don't want to say it hurt you, but do you want to reinforce that these are local kids, local money, and the money stays local? I mean, do sometimes people say, well, I want to help really locally?
Make-A-Wish is so big. Yes. Yes, every Make-A-Wish chapter is an independent 501c3. So we are all governed by our local board of directors, staff is local, the children that we serve are all local. And so all of the funds that are raised here stay here to benefit children in the Mid-South.
Same question to you, and I'll go to Bill here, but as a national organization, do you sometimes get, I don't know, resistance is maybe a strong word, but people sort of saying, hey, I want to help, MIFA's right here, on the ground, they're local. Do my dollars that I give to the Salvation Army in Memphis stay in Memphis?
We have to make sure we get that message out all the time. We don't get a lot of pushback. I think people do understand that what they give in Memphis does stay in Memphis, and that's true. If you give here, we help Mid-Southerners. We serve an 8-county area out of Memphis here in the Salvation Army, and all the money stays in that 8-county area.
Yeah. Bill?
Let's go a little bit beyond the dollars and cents to talk about the impact of the work. Your impact on children who are undergoing some complex medical procedures. A child who is 6 or 7 years old, that has to be an overwhelming experience. First of all, the medical crisis that has brought them there, and then the increasingly complex treatments for it. So when they're able to, let's keep it simple, see a beach for the first time, the impact of that on their recovery, the impact on them as they run what amounts to a gauntlet here.
It's incredible, because when a child is critically ill, it affects the whole family. Siblings are pushed to the side to be able to have, the focus on the child who is sick. The marriage, parents can be under such incredible strain for it. And we kind of equate it, it's not necessarily the best equation, but think about when you are getting ready to go on vacation, that moment where you're the hustle, the bustle, you're getting everything going, and you cannot wait to get out the door. And as soon as you're out the door and out to your vacation, you feel the weight lift off of you. And that's a wish experience. That weight, even if it's for a small period of time, comes off of that family. We have had families who told us that while they were away for the wish experience, that the siblings said for the first time, Mom and Dad, we have missed you so much. We have not been a family unit. We have been so far away and felt so uncared for just by nature of what they have to do to keep their other child alive. They're fighting to keep their other child. They don't know if their child is going to make it. And so that strain that goes in that family, the wish experience can change their lives. There are studies that show that when a child is in the wish process, it gives them the energy and the strength to fight through their next treatment. They know that wish is coming and they want to get through it, and they're going to do it. And so it's not only that it changes the life of the child, it changes the entire family's life. And when our volunteers are there and they get to witness that experience, it makes them feel more compelled to give philanthropically, and they want to continue to do more good in their community. And so it kind of puts forth a positive cycle of giving and caring about someone else.
I would imagine someone with an addiction who comes to the Salvation Army, there is also that family dynamic. It is, and we know so much more about this counseling now than I think we used to know, in terms of the fact that a family member who is not addicted, there's also an impact there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Our Renewal Place program is an up to 2-year program for a homeless woman with her children who has an addiction. And so what we see in that program oftentimes are women who have been the victim of domestic violence, have been even in some cases through sex trafficking and those kinds of things, and they just lose all hope. They're out there on the streets and they're about to lose their children, and sometimes the court orders them to come to the program, sometimes family members bring them in, and you literally see their lives change from the day they come in until 2 years later. They're completely different people. They have job skills, and one of the things we're able to do is help the traumatized child. You can just imagine what impact homelessness and addiction of a parent has on a child. And so the mom and her kids get healthy together, and then they're ready again to be in society and stand on their own 2 feet and make a contribution. So it's really an amazing process that we see.
So when MIFA feeds someone, let's use the most obvious, probably the top of mind example for other people. You also encounter other needs once you've fed that person. I would imagine it rarely ends with providing someone with a meal that they need.
Exactly. Our volunteers are our eyes and ears in the community. We've had instances where we've had volunteers and some of our paid drivers to go and find someone laying on the floor, and had been that way all weekend. And had we not come to deliver not only that meal, because we're more than a meal, but that social interaction and actually that checks and balances on that particular senior, I mean, the consequences could be devastating. So we are very appreciative that we have volunteers that really go into the homes and they actually have relationships with these seniors. They can tell, your smoke detector needs to be replaced, you need a ramp to help you get in and out of the home, to fixing that light bulb outside to help prevent crime. It's those basic needs that our volunteers are helping to support.
How often are you working with someone who is living alone, and how often are you working with a family?
Okay. Right. Typically for Meals on Wheels, the majority of our seniors are actually female widows. We have a large number of females who live by themselves, and so that social interaction, plays a great part in their sustainability in continuing to age in place in their home. Again, with our families, we have families that come in. We had over 15,000 last year to come in. We were only able to help 3,500. And again, that has to deal with, just the basic needs of keeping their lights on, providing rent and utility assistance.
For the people that you're not able to help, are you able to refer them to other places?
Yes, we are, but again, the resources are limited because oftentimes they have the same criteria that we have, and so it's a pretty vicious cycle.
Well, when you talk about the work you're doing, the volunteers are doing, I mean, how do you prevent burnout? You go to you. I mean, that you're dealing with people. It's tremendously stressful. I mean, just terrible experience. I mean, how do you have volunteers that burn out, staff that burns out? How do you deal with that part of the reality of doing this work?
We try to keep the focus on the positive outcome of the wish and what it does for that family. And so knowing that that's what you're working for makes you want to keep going. It makes you want to do that for more children and families in the Mid-South. But we also provide continuous training for our volunteers. Each of our offices has a volunteer coordinator on staff who's there to provide resources, education, answer questions, and that sort of thing. And the same thing for our staff. We try to make sure that staff has constant access to resources, training, education, and that we balance it out. We don't let anyone take on one particular thing by themselves. It's very much a team effort. And for our volunteers, we really listen to what they have going on. If someone has just had a baby and they want to take some time off, and come back, then we give them that span of time, check back in, and then get them back on board whenever they're ready.
The same sort of things for you? I mean, that you're dealing with people terrible experiences, and there is just that burnout, I think, that happens with people, either the volunteers or staff.
Yeah, and most of our volunteer opportunities are fairly short term, so people come in and they do a job and then they're done and help us every year in those kinds of ways. So, and they love doing it, and so there's lots of usually excitement, and it's more blessed to give than to receive, and so when people give of their time like that, they're blessed as much as the people that they're serving. Right,
and your folks, your volunteers are out there. I mean, is it does the fact of helping the people keep them going? Because they're probably seeing some pretty rough experiences, some people in some bad shape and extreme poverty and so on. But they keep going.
They keep going, but during the holidays, we really need, and after the holidays, because a lot of our regular volunteers who do it, every week need that respite. So really during the holidays, even though it may be after the holiday season, between January and February, our volunteers need a respite, and that's why we're in dire need of other volunteers during this time.
And not just in the holiday.
Not just
all
during
through,
the
because
holiday.
again, we do this at the holidays, which is good, but you need this help in June, you need this help in
Right.
July, you need this help in August. You mentioned your website. What is the website that people should go to, or should they call? How best should they look at volunteer opportunities or donations?
Midsouth.wish.org is our website, and our phone number is really easy. It's 680-WISH.
Okay, do the website one more time.
Midsouth.wish.org.
Okay, and you mentioned it before, but I'll go ahead and come back to you in terms of
Yeah.
how people get involved.
Just SalvationArmyMemphis.org and 260-9111.
Okay, and that's for whether they're ringing a bell or they're working at the Kroc Center or however they're
Yeah,
they're
to
gonna be.
volunteer, to give donations,
Okay.
whatever.
One more time on the website and the phone number. Just-
SalvationArmyMemphis.org
Okay.
and 260-9111.
And lastly, for you, the best way for people to go to the website or
Yes,
give a call?
go to the website, www.mifa, that's mifa.org, and our telephone number is 527-0208.
Okay. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the work you do. Thank you, Bill. That's all we have tonight. Join us again next week. Good night.